We are wired for fear. It is an evolutionary adaptation to peril. When we feel fear, it's not a symptom of something going wrong, it's a symptom of something going right. Therefore, fear is not an indictment. It is one of many factors in our lives we get to dance with the skill of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. How are we to battle fear? Are we to jab it in the nose? Are we to give the old rope-a-dope? What if I was to tell you the most efficient way to combat fear is by the practice of radical vulnerability? Allow me to introduce you to the concept of mindfulness. Vulnerable, passive, visceral, and random. You see, my friends, every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we automatically access our sympathetic nervous system, which has not evolved for active concentration, but instead has evolved to simply perceive, and to do so, you guessed it, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Even when what we perceive is embarrassing, even when what we perceive is the brick shattering the plate glass of cultural gender norms, we give ourselves permission to feel the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, imaginations, and confabulations. We give ourselves permission to feel the full spectrum, or to perceive the full spectrum of sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. We offer no resistance. We offer as much resistance as a white, fluffy cloud. If you were falling, heaven forbid, pushed out of an airplane and falling towards the earth, do you think a cloud would stop you? No, you'd fall straight through it. One time many years ago, in the late 80s, when I was trying my hand at sales, I asked my boss, hey man, how would you let the people's negativity bounce off you like bullets off of Superman's chest? And Mark was amazing. He said, you don't. You let it pass right through you. Of course, that reminded me of Frank Herbert's Dune, the Canticle Against Fear. I must not fear. Fear is the little death that brings obliteration. I will face my fear. I will allow my fear to pass through me and around me and over me. I will turn to see my fear is gone and only I remain. So the question remains, whoop, that is a very bad edit on my part. Let me see if I can fix this bad boy. There we go. So what is the key to practicing this mindfulness? As we inhale, there are certain words we can silently and mentally recite. They don't make us perceive. We're already wired for that, but they help us to get out of our own way. They serve as a signal that aligns our intention with a pre-existing wiring in the thoracic region of our spinal cord, where our sympathetic nervous system lives. So here's how it works. As we inhale, we can silently and mentally recite, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. There is a myth that a monkey mind is a bad thing. But I would tell you, no, we evolved to have a monkey mind. Put it to work. Put it to work. When I was a kid, my favorite game was cleaning grandma's kitchen. So put your monkey mind to work. Consider, if you will, this piece of classic tantric art, where you see a woman the color of a cumulus cloud sporting in tantric union with a man the color of the sky. This is deeply symbolic. This woman sporting in wild abandon reminds us of the play of mind, which sees, hears, feels, tastes, smells, and the like. Our mind, which emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, imagines, and confabulates. At the same time, it's breakdancing, That's cool. Don't fight it. Just kick back and enjoy the show. Many men have a controlling streak. I'm sure you've never had a controlling streak, but every other man I've been spoken to, including myself, has a controlling impulse. And when our partner does something, perhaps dancing in a manner we find really, really sexy, we can be controlling, or we can sit back and enjoy the show. This incredibly sexy, free individual is amazing, and for some bizarre reason they've chosen moi. There's something about the fundamental way cis men and cis women are wired that when we see our female partner dance, we just think they're the most exquisite thing on the planet. That's a very useful neurological adaptation. But it's a wonderful example of not trying to control your partner, but just sitting back and enjoying the show, basking in the glory that is your partner. Similarly, just as the sky man sits passively while his cloud partner sports with abandon, we can watch the play of mind. So this of course was inspired by the teachings of Tulku Thondup. We can be reduced to the 3-syllable aspect, notice this, or if you're really bold, the 1-syllable aspect, which is the demonstrative pronoun this. So we have been completely vulnerable to our fear. We've let it pass through us. Now, how do we release it? As you probably guessed, our job is not to shove it away, not to push it away like the kitty cat fighting with Pepe Le Pew in a Merry Melodies cartoon. We are to allow it to release. How do we do that? Those are pretty words. How do we make that happen? Through the magic of meditation. But what is meditation? My friends, every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system that lives in our lumbar spinal cord and the tippy top of our cervical spinal cord. Or so I've been taught. Doing so allows our bodies to relax and our minds to release. It is as if mental release was surfing the carrier wave of physical relaxation for all my engineering and physics geeks out there. So once again, just as before during mindfulness, the play of mind was symbolized by the cloud-like female partner, the relaxation, the sitting back and enjoying the show, the relax and release is symbolized by the sky partner, who's just quite mellow. And this is explained through the phrase inspired by Chogdud Tulku, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Now, here's the cool thing. We don't gotta waste our time and energy practicing the blind superstition that rigidly believes that mind is literally non-graspable. We don't need to practice the pseudo-intellectual skullduggery of striving to prove the mind is literally non-graspable. Instead, we can be like grown-ups who recognize that the significant percentage of language is figurative. And as such, we can explore that. Non-graspability is just an adjective that we use to describe the physical and mental experience available during each exhalation. During each inhalation, we are wired to notice. During each exhalation, we are wired to relax and release. This is already baked into the cake of our central nervous system. All we need to do is simply align our intention, our volition, our will with this most ancient wiring of our central nervous system. Now, let's return to our basic premise of unleashing our inner Jedi by conquering fear and finding courage. How do we do that? Through vulnerable perception, through physical relaxation. But wait, there is a third part of this. A delicious fringe benefit of perceiving and releasing is that it gives rise to the highest love, which is spontaneous and uncontrived, that enables us to go with the flow. So consider this. There's a myth that a bunch of alpha dipshits prance about the internet proclaiming only dead fish go with the flow. Yeah, Skippy, clearly you know more than the 81 poems of the Tao Te Ching. Oh, let me bow before your great wisdom. So, ignore the poop heads with podcasts who would tell you not to go with the flow. Let me tell you the safest, most beneficial, most effective way of going with the flow that allows you to function as profoundly and beneficially as if you were Qui-Gon Jinn himself. Qui-Gon Jinn is the epitome of going with the flow. So greatly spiritual was he that he was the first Jedi to become a Force ghost and then come back and retrain Yoda, as explored in the final reel of Revenge of the Sith. Consider this. Let us pretend there is a continuum. On one hand, we have our controlling tendencies. On the other hand, we're completely scattered. The middle ground is not scattered spontaneity, but centered spontaneity. That's what we're talking about. And centered spontaneity is the effortless and automatic byproduct of a really healthy, effective, consistent meditation practice. Practice meditation for about 5 minutes or longer every 12 hours or so for 7 consecutive days, and you will see greater centered spontaneity. As a kid, did you ever play on the street, in that place where the sidewalk meets the street, and like pour water down the gutter and like float little leaves on that? Similarly, our choices and our utterances and our deeds can float upon the stream of our centered spontaneity, causing us to effortlessly be the great Jedi that we were born to be. I think it could be great fun if together as a team we chanted the Tuesday morning excerpt of a great Dzogchen text known as Natural Liberation Through Naked Vision. It is allegedly composed by Padmasambhava and translated from the Tibetan into English by Dr. Robert Thurman, PhD. I, of course, made some tweaks here and there because that's how I roll. Now, allow me to remind you that if at any point during this morning's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. Now, a few minutes may elapse between you pressing send and me noticing your question. But don't worry, I will get to it. It is important to me. And now together, as a team, let's chant. Whoopsie. Come on, machine, don't fail me now. Did I push the wrong button? There we go. Let's see if that's working. Fabulous. Oh, how wonderful the one mind that pervades all life and liberation. Though it is a primal nature, it is not recognized. Though its bright intelligence is uninterrupted, it is not faced. Though it ceaselessly arises everywhere, it is not recognized. To make known just this objective nature, Buddhas of the past, present, and future proclaim the inconceivable 84,000 Dharma teachings, teaching none other than this realization. Those scriptures are measureless as the sky. Oh, look at that. Their import is the three words identifying wisdom, proclaiming this is it. This direct introduction to the intention of the Buddhas. Just this is the entry into sudden enlightenment's freedom from progression. I look forward to meditating with you after less than 1 minute of housekeeping. This is the Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. I've spent more than half my life studying, practicing, and then reverse engineering the teachings, techniques, and practices of each school of Buddhism so that I could play the Yoda to your Luke Skywalker, so that you could easily and quickly become the person that your dog already thinks you are. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. And now we come to this morning's practice text, Easy Dzogchen. Let us briefly chant the recitations of empathetic bodhicitta, or mindset of enlightenment, and enthusiastic refuge. We shall begin with the more literal recitation implementing a triplet chant. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. These three things are so potent that they earned the metaphoric nickname the three wish-fulfilling jewels. We now, for our second and final pre-meditation chant, we now recite the concise version of the same thoughts, according to a bookend chant together. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the three jewels. So this recitation that exercises the neural pathways of intention is energizing and blissful. That's why I and many others incorporate it into my daily exercise practice, where I perform variations of geriatric step-back squat thrusts while reciting this. Do I do it out of fear? No. Do I do it out of greed? No. Do it because it's free and it's fun and it's effective. I also recommend walking meditation. Walking meditation and Buddha bowing are fun ways to embrace physical fitness while simultaneously training your mind. So having said that, and we've already explored today's meditation instructions during the actual class, so quick like a bunny, together as a team, let us meditate as profoundly as Qui-Gon Jinn on Naboo. So every day when I perform when I blend my geriatric step back squat thrusts with the recitation of bodhicitta and refuge, while simultaneously sunbathing outside my apartment, when I'm finished that, I sit in meditation. Now, quite frankly, I'm too out of breath to perform this 12-syllable exercise. So I normally begin with approximately 16 or 17 repetitions of the 3-syllable version. Then I return to this. Then I return again to the 3-syllable version and spend the remaining of my post-workout meditation time with the 1-syllable version. Right now, let's continue with the 12-syllable version. I misspoke previously. The 12-syllable bit recited during the exhalation was inspired by both the teachings of Chagdu Tulku as well as the teachings of Baka Tulku. Now let us transition to the 3-syllable exercise. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite, notice this. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing. We now switch techniques to the one-syllable exercise. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. And as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb is. When we feel fear, our job is not to push the fear away. Our job is not to piously play with words while pretending to try to push it away. Our job is not to see how long it takes for the fear to go away. Our job is to notice what we experience in our inhalation and relax in our exhalation. It doesn't matter what we experience, whether we feel fear or bravado or peace or amorousness. All that matters is that we notice and release. It doesn't matter what we notice. It doesn't matter how thoroughly we relax. As long as we're noticing, as long as we're releasing, we are traversing the path of enlightenment. The secret of meditation is not that we are actively transmuting fear into peace or fear into bravado. Au contraire, we're transforming fear into the Buddha's path, into the path of noticing and releasing. We're allowing fear to function as our rocket fuel, our that we might be the nitro burning, drag racing, street racer of the spiritual path. Whoops, wrong button. As we sit in meditation, we can notice all sorts of things, including boredom. What do you do with boredom? The same thing we do with everything else. We notice it and we release it. Back and forth, noticing and releasing. The more intense the boredom, the more potent, the more it serves as fuel to drive the meditation machine. Welcome to the tail end of this morning's group meditation practice. If you have any questions about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or their application, simply type your question in the chat window. The easiest way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. And the easiest way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel on Patreon. In approximately 9.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tonight's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.